Hello, dear viewers of nu-Tieu. Today, I want to share with you a touching story. Amidst the pouring rain and storm, nu-Tieu walks alone through the empty streets searching for the missing man. Despite all the obstacles around her, the hope in nu-Tieu's heart never fades. After days of struggle, she decides to put up flyers everywhere, hoping someone will help her find Truong. But when a familiar figure appears in the bustling market, her heart suddenly stops. Could this be Truong, the one she's been waiting for all this time? Don't forget to like and subscribe. To follow this thrilling journey, join nu-Tieu and support us on the quest to find Truong. What surprises lie ahead? Stay tuned to find out. The rain poured down like a waterfall, flooding the streets and making the city feel like it was sinking into chaos. Beneath the strong winds and heavy rain, nu-Tieu continued to walk alone on the empty street. She held her phone in her hand, desperately searching for information about the man she was looking for, Truong. Every step she took was hurried, as if she feared losing the last chance to find him. nu-Tieu asked passers-by, her eyes full of hope. But all she received were indifferent shakes of the head. The people, tired and anxious from the storm and the flooding, couldn't help her. They all had their own worries and didn't care about her search. With each question, she felt like she was sinking deeper into an unfamiliar world, one where no help could be found. But her determination wouldn't let her give up. The rain showed no sign of stopping, and nu-Tieu kept moving forward. Every step was heavy with exhaustion, but her heart refused to quit. The ruined houses, the empty eyes of the people passing by, everything only made her more resolute. She had to find Truong, no matter how dark and hopeless everything around her seemed. She trudged on her feet, sinking into the flooded streets, but her eyes never stopped searching. She passed through ruined houses, neighborhoods submerged by floodwaters. The exhaustion and hopelessness overwhelmed her, but deep down, a faint hope still lingered. nu-Tieu stopped in front of an old woman's vegetable stall, asking for directions to the nearest copy shop. The woman pointed ahead, telling her where she could find what she needed. After thanking her, nu-Tieu kept going, her heart still heavy with worry. At the copy shop, she couldn't stop worrying about the photos she had prepared. She handed the photos to the shopkeeper and asked to have copies made of Truong's pictures. The cost of printing made her hesitate, but she paid, taking the photos in her hands, filled with anxiety. In her mind, the question kept circling: would these photos help her find Truong? Her hope remained, though it was fragile. Stepping out of the copy shop, nu-Tieu felt a little relieved, but also filled with anxiety. The photos she had just printed in her hands were now a great hope. She stopped and looked at each photo, each one showing Truong's face, the man she had been searching for all this time. The fatigue and despair still lingered, but hope, though small, was the only light still burning in her heart. nu-Tieu decided to put up flyers everywhere, hoping that someone would recognize Truong and contact her. Every piece of paper, every step she took carried with it a fragile hope. She stuck the flyers on utility poles, shop windows, anywhere people passed by, even though she wasn't sure if anyone would notice. But she had no other choice. Hope was the only thing she had left. She knew that if she didn't do this, she would never find him. When the flyers were posted on the poles, nu-Tieu stood silently looking at them. Truong's face swayed in the wind, the yellow street light shining on his image, making it glow. Whether it was an illusion or reality, it still made her feel a little closer to him. She knew she had done everything she could, and now all that was left was to wait, a thing she had never been good at. The feelings of hopelessness and hope intertwined in her heart, leaving her unsure of what to do next. In this world, it seemed like only she remained a small girl searching for something the whole world had forgotten. She stopped by a small park where old stone benches sat under the shade of a banyan tree losing its leaves. She sat down her backpack, now light holding only a few crumpled flyers. Tieu Nu clutched them to her chest, as if holding a part of her soul. She looked up at the road ahead, where the car lights stretched out in long streaks. Maybe somewhere in that crowd, Truong was walking by, and she just hadn't seen him. She smiled softly, a tired smile, and suddenly realized that tears were running down her cheeks. They fell onto the flyers, smudging some of his face. She panicked and wiped her face, as if afraid that if she lost that image, she would have nothing left to hold on to. "I'm sorry, Truong," she whispered, her voice choked. "I don't know what to do anymore. I can only search for you, only put up these flyers and then sit here waiting, even if it's just for a small miracle." The night breeze blew through, carrying the chill of early autumn. Her messy hair gently brushed her tear-streaked face. In front of her, the city continued to live, to move, while she stood there like a lost shadow among it all. People walked by, glancing at her for a moment, some stopping to look at the flyers, then moving on. Tieu Nu watched them, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and disappointment. With each step they took, her heart emptied a little more. As the sky darkened and the streetlights began to flicker on, casting a pale glow on her tired face, Tieu Nu continued pasting the flyers, her heart heavy with worry. Each time she pasted one, she felt a sharp pain in her chest, as if each piece of paper were a knife cutting into her heart. The crowd hurried past, none of them stopping to notice her. But Tieu Nu didn't mind. She knew that she had to keep going because it was the only way she could hold on to hope. When all the flyers were up, Tieu Nu stood for a long while, her hands still sticky with glue. Her gaze silently lingered on the photos of Truong, silently wishing for a miracle to happen. Even though nothing around her had changed, she still believed that if she persevered, Truong would see and come back to her. When the last flyer was pasted, she looked up at the night sky, where only a few scattered lights remained in the empty space. She stood there between the thousands of lights and the sound of distant cars, silently praying, "Please, let someone see this flyer. Please, let him see that I'm looking for him." Then she walked on her small figure, blending into the crowd, but her gaze still fixed ahead, believing that as long as she didn't give up, she would find him. Amidst the glowing city lights at night, Tieu Nu stood still in the busy street, her eyes filled with doubt as she looked toward the end of the road where the person she had just seen had disappeared. Her heart was still pounding, and a whirlwind of emotions rushed through her. Could it have been Truong? Or just a passerby, someone whose build and hair looked strikingly similar to his? She couldn't be sure, but the feeling she had just experienced was so powerful that she couldn't ignore it. She turned around and rushed to follow. Each step felt heavy, but she couldn't stop. The street was still crowded, the sounds of cars and people talking blending into a loud, chaotic melody. Yet in the midst of that chaos, Tieu Nu had only one thing to focus on: the man she had been searching for all this time. If only he would turn around. If only he would recognize her. All the suffering she had endured would mean nothing anymore. She ran past shops, through familiar street corners, but the figure had vanished into the crowd. Her heart felt heavy, full of worry, but she couldn't stop. She felt exhausted after chasing that familiar silhouette. Tired, Nu-Tieu found a quiet corner, sat down, and silently ate a piece of bread. Each bite was a brief comfort, but not enough to ease the anxiety that gripped her heart. In the quiet of the night, Nu-Tieu fell into thoughts of Truong. Had he seen the flyers she had put up everywhere? Or would she have to continue this endless search? She didn't know where the future would take her. But one thing she was sure of, she wouldn't give up. Even as the darkness surrounded her, even as those flyers were just a faint hope in the vast world, Nu-Tieu held on to her belief. She tightly clutched the flyers, still waiting deep down for a phone call, a sign, or even an appearance from Truong. Could that person really have been him? Or was it just an illusion in these long, drawn-out days? The answer would be revealed in the next part. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because this story is not over yet.